All right. Welcome. Welcome everyone. I'm super excited. We already had a beautiful conversation today. This guest Jennifer, regular, the soul illuminator. And yeah, we're going to discover various topics, right? It's the second time that we're recording this because one time the camera just I was delayed, so my voice and the picture was actually delayed, but it's all good. We can use the material, and we had a great conversation, a great time anyway. And I learned a lot, and I'm sure you did too. And now we're just going to explore a little bit more on the Higher States show. Higher States Daily is really what I'm aiming to reach. I personally want to improve daily, and this is also how the name developed of the podcast. And I'm inviting people where I know that I will have enlightening conversations with, so that the people will gain some valuable insights on how to be themselves, how to really honor themselves, how to love themselves, how to become the best possible version of themselves, which is why I am here for, and everyone who is deciding to do the same. Yeah, my heart is wide open, and I give my best to share as much as I can. So yeah, Jennifer has background in psychology and shamanism. And yeah, she's very well experienced. We always have great conversations when we talk, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Yana. And absolutely, really enjoy our conversations and time together. And sometimes it's not just the words, it's that shared consciousness and just
Mm,
the felt experience that we have whenever we come together. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, my pleasure. The shared experience. Perfect to start with. And it's not always the words. And right, we're communicating behind words always as well. Like, I mean, sit with a loved one for one day together without speaking. Just imagine it, and you see that you will have certain feelings coming with it, even depending on which person you choose to be with, right? You may feel comfortable. Who would you like to sit one day in silence with, and why? Or why not?
Very cool then.
Whoa, like I've never thought about that like that. It just came in right now, but it's a interesting thought. So, what's your educated opinion on that?
Very educated opinion. You know
Yeah.
what? What comes to mind, Yana, and the experience that I'm recollecting is when I'm in a silent retreat and actually just spending a full day with myself and with spirit and with everything that rises up for me, everything that's within me. And I merge with the environment outside of me. I don't feel separate from that. I feel really tuned in and I start to realign. And so a lot of us are afraid to be alone or be by ourselves. And I hear people talk about that they're surrounded by people or children or their family or their spouse or all the time, or they're people that they're serving, that they work with and work for. And then like everybody leaves the house or they're at home alone because everybody's at their extracurricular activities or something and they don't know what to do. They don't know who they are alone by
Mhm.
themselves. So I find that really interesting. And then, yeah, who do we want to spend time with, like
Yeah.
all day? And even for a shorter time than a day, to really just sit with them in silence and really feel into that. It takes so much energy to even talk. So when you come out of a silent retreat or a period of silence like that, then you really notice how much it takes to actually talk with someone. So there's so much energy that's expended there when we're in communication with others verbally. And so I think it's actually a really important concept that you're bringing up because then we really think about how we want to be using that energy, how we want to be directing our time, energy, and resources with another person. Because there's some people that I feel really drained after being with. And there's some people I feel really excited and enlivened and inspired by when I'm with them. And then there's others who I feel lighter because they've made me laugh and we smile a lot and we're just enjoying each other's company. And there's others where I feel very serious and solemn about, and so the energy impacts, it influences our way of being, our state of being. So that's a really interesting question, Yana. How do you, what's landing for you?
Yeah, like the state of being when we are with ourselves. And I know that many people have, like me included, it is about learning to discover our own voice. And when I know my voice and I learn to trust my voice, then I can sit with myself in silence and with anyone else as well. Doesn't need that I like them. I can love them. There's a difference between that, between love and liking. I don't need to like everything that anyone is doing, but this someone also deserves to be loved. Um, so I think what's important is for us is to know thyself, right? It's what I receive right now. Know thyself. And many people are still discovering that part of themselves, and me included, even more on daily basis, right? Although I would say I've really made a huge process of progress in the last 2 years particularly, but yeah, in the last years. And now I know that this voice that I'm now having, and if I'm now saying nothing, I just have silence. Um, and I just hear that beautiful high-pitched frequency that is always there. Like there's nothing, like never completely silent, but there's some high-pitched frequency that I'm listening to. Um, and when I'm listening to that, then the thoughts, they are very gentle. There's no one in my head telling me what to do in a way that is uncomfortable, right? There's no voice in my head that makes me feel uncomfortable. And I think that um yeah, this is very important for us to acknowledge that there are different, sometimes we listen maybe to the voice of our parents, or like a belief or like a story that we started telling ourselves as a child. It might be our own ego voice in our head. We started making up a story because we didn't get the love like we needed it in this moment as a child. And if I say to myself, bro, no one loves me, and I told myself this for 1,000 times, and then I'm sitting with someone in silence and no one loves me, right? And I do feel uncomfortable. So um, I think what we have to do is the inner work, and I do like to acknowledge Billy Carson, like he said, going to inner space, right? Going to
Mm-hmm.
inner space
I love
because
that.
yes, yes, like there's so much knowledge and wisdom within us, within our heart, that when, as I said before, like now I say the sentence in just a bit, but in our heart, when it's open, there is so much knowledge and wisdom, right? And sometimes heartbreak, right, is a thing to help us discovering that wisdom.
Mm.
Um, and that pain that we experience is always, there's always something greater behind it. And your heart breaks until it's open. And when it's open, then you actually experience what life is all about. And this is to accept ourselves for who we are, right? I am enough. And yeah, it's an interesting concept with pain, right? That we kind of have to experience pain to know what pleasure really is and the way around.
Mm.
Because if it all everything would be neutral, we wouldn't have a clue. Like, and I
Right.
guess sometime it was like that. And I think
Mm.
someone decided to create all of that to experience how it is to be different, how it is to look at ourselves from a different angle. And this is why we're sitting here. This is why we're doing what we're doing. And yeah, this was a little longer than I thought, but it's just so beautiful. As I haven't thought of a few things that I've just said before, but
Mm.
because the moment is right, then the knowledge becomes available
Yes.
because I'm open for it to receive. And it's a beautiful journey. Thanks for reflecting that back to me as well, which is very beautiful. So,
Yeah.
what's your take on let's just keep that conversation flowing is what I feel. I don't have a question
Mhm.
right now.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel what you're
yeah.
saying with the heart breaking, an opening, and for me that's reflecting an expansion. And as we expand our consciousness, then we're also expanding our experience of life, is what I'm hearing, from what you're saying, and being able to really live it fully and accept it fully. There's not so much that we have to do, it's more about opening ourselves up to receive life and all that it offers. And sometimes that may be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. It is what it is, but there's that openness to experience it, expand our horizons, our possibilities, our experiences essentially. So as we expand in our consciousness, we become more aware of who we are, what's available to us, and what meaning and purpose we have on this planet at this time. And then recognizing our choice to be here, to come here, and that it's a continuous choice every day. Not
Mhm.
everyone decides to stick around. Unfortunately, we've been seeing more of that in recent years, how it became too challenging, and people didn't trust their ability to move through that, to accept what was happening and their power to create something different, and so we've seen and heard about a lot of suicides lately, and overdoses, and mental health issues, and a rise in violence in all of its forms. And I think that's important to acknowledge too. And when we don't engage in soul care and embrace the lessons and those challenges, then we become numb, depressed. We start reacting to life instead of embodying life, and we're not sure. We want to tune out instead of tune in. And we get spaced out, like you're talking about, like, wanting to access that inner space, but then we end up spaced out when we're just on our phones or scrolling the news feeds or social media or watching Netflix, or not to say anything's bad about all of that, but it's how we are using those
Yeah.
devices or defense mechanisms and numbing ourselves out rather than tuning into something, I think is also important. So practicing that discernment, knowing that when we're expanding and embracing life or when we're trying to avoid it and hide from it and just can't deal with it, I can't. And how do we help people, Yarna, to recognize that they do have power, that there is more to life than what was already experienced?
Yeah, the power of choice.
Mm.
It's what I receive. You named the choice, right? That we have the choice every day. And yeah, to take responsibility for our choices is an important part as well. So thanks for that. Like, I want to go into, you mentioned the receiving part, and it's just something that's very present within me at this stage as well. had a conversation about this topic as well earlier on a Zoom call, with, like a collaboration call with a few different people, also new people that I haven't known before. And we started talking about divine masculinity and femininity. And that we are now really, we become more aware that we actually have both energies within us, though the way that, starting with the masculinity, the way that this world has lived for a very long time was masculine driven and not necessarily always in a healthy way. So our fathers, right, that may not have been the best role models for us. And this is why lots of men currently also don't know how to be or how to embody that divine masculinity within themselves in order for the divine feminine to nurture, to be, right? To do all of the beautiful things that come with that feminine energy, which is love on a whole nother level, right? Women love different than men do. And this is also perfect, like it is. And to find that balance within both, right? So if I'm now a man and I'm creating a space for a woman where she feels safe, where she feels seen, right? Respected, this allows her then to really be in her power in a different way, because many women have underlying fear because they were suppressed for a very long time on this planet. And this is a collective trauma that we are healing right now. And yeah, what's your take onto this?
I think that was so beautiful, the way that you shared that. And it's true within each one of us too, the masculine, the feminine, and finding that balance. And it's not just a balance because struggle with that word a little bit because I don't know if it's really a thing, because as soon as we try to move over to that kind of tipping point, we already become unbalanced. It's like such a fine point to be in true balance, right? It's kind of like
Mm,
a little bit of one, maybe more than the other. And that seems to just be like a seesaw going back and forth and leveling out every so often. But I like the word alignment or union,
yeah.
and there's practices that bring the masculine and feminine into union and uniting together. And that union then brings up the ideas of unity and unity consciousness and the collective and being in harmony with each other and within ourselves and with all our relations. So the elements and nature, and even in nature, we have the masculine and feminine. We have grandmother moon and grandfather stones, and we have the standing people, which are the trees. Like we personalize that, and we have mother earth and father sky and father son, and there's all of that masculine and feminine within nature as well. And so there is that balance, that is that separation too. One's more feminine, one's more masculine, but they work together in tandem to create a united front, to really stand together and be together. And sometimes they merge, and sometimes one overshadows the others and we have an eclipse, like there's all different dynamics that are at play. And so being in balance or being in union is not necessarily perfect either. It's being able to embrace all of the different dynamics and experiences and influences that are at play, I think. And then so I'm thinking of the feminine, and getting more into in recent years getting into leadership roles and becoming CEOs and entrepreneurs, and men taking more roles in parenthood and being the home care provider as opposed to the money provider, bringing home the bacon, they would say. Um, and then I had written an article about this a while back, that reclaiming the lost art of intuition, because women becoming more masculine in their roles and in the way of working and being in the world, and having to overcompensate, to prove themselves as equal to men, that they lost that feminine nature of being really nurturing to ourselves and to those around us. And that intuition that comes along with that. And that's starting to come a little bit more back into balance again, because we went so far one way that we missed the other way. And then men now sharing a lot more about their emotions and feelings and traumas and hurts that I, which wasn't available, or there wasn't the capacity to do that before because of the structure or rules, or what was said if they tried, and not knowing how to bring up those parts of ourselves. So I think no matter if we're male or female or identify in a different way, it's learning about all aspects of ourselves, you know, allowing those different parts of our being to be available and to emerge, and like we spoke earlier about really getting to know ourselves, these hidden parts that we may not have acknowledged before, that we haven't seen or heard or understood yet. So being able to do that, to allow that to come up, to not shut them down, suppress them, or repress, or any of the other defense mechanisms, but to give voice to them too, and to be curious about it, and not shame ourselves or doubt ourselves or each other in that aspect. And that's how we come into alignment and in harmony, because then we give voice to that, as you spoke of earlier, Yana. So what is coming for you as I share this?
I do love the word alignment and harmony. Like, I do like harmony for me is, yeah, it's a very beautiful word to use. And I also say that I do help people align to who they are. It's also a terminology that I did use before, with the balance part, to maybe bring a bit understanding also for the listeners to I think what you're talking there about, the same like with the yin and yang, that it's not always like that. Sometimes the yin is stronger than the yang. Sometimes
Mm,
the yang is stronger than the yin.
mm,
And it's like the moment that you said that, what I've just seen is like somehow like an energy that is moving like an ocean that's just flowing freely
mhm,
through its seasons, right? And
mm,
sometimes it's just time to nurture and sometimes just time to do. Um, and maybe we even have a maybe we have collectively a wrong understanding of balance. Uh, so this might also be a part, right? It's then again the interpretation of the words and the perspective that we look at it, and words can have different meanings for different people. This is also then depending on the truth that lies within us and what we are here to experience. So yeah, this also gives me now definitely room to contemplate about that word and to just allow the information, the wisdom to come to me through perceiving it from a different angle, as you bring it up right now. Yeah, can you see the fly just like
and it's bringing
there it
things up for
is.
me. So it's bringing up new understanding for me too, because now what I'm connecting that with or associating it with is duality. If we're trying to find a
Yes.
balance, then we're still seeing things in a duality, right?
Speak.
There's the one and then
I just have a look for the sun. So I just
oh,
adjust a little thing. So you just keep talking. I
okay,
listen.
okay. There's the one and then there's the other. There's the light and the dark. I mean, why don't we just bring that into it, Yana? And so we have to make adjustments, right, as you're doing right now. And so, yeah, and then, even in gender diversity these days, that there's people identify as male or female or they or them or in other ways, and also non-binary, right? Not one or the other. And in any kind of duality, masculine, feminine, they, them, we, us, that's why I wanted to get out of the corporate and social services kind of roles that I was in, where it was more of a role to role way of relating. We were defined by a certain role, which defined how we were going to communicate with each other. And my heart and soul desired to connect more soul to soul, where it didn't matter, what social class you were, what gender you were, what race or ethnicity you were. It matters in the sense that, yeah, you want to honor that. You want to honor all aspects of who you are and appreciate those differences. However, when we really get down to it, we're connecting soul to soul. And
Mhm.
even like thinking that God or a higher power is something outside of us, or is it something inside of us? Are we all one and the same? You spoke a little bit about treating women as if they're a queen, as if they were sovereign beings. And so are you. And when we start thinking about our partner, or our friends, or our family as a sovereign being, or as a god or goddess, or as um, I like just the word sovereign being, really, and really stepping into that spiritual
Yeah.
sovereignty, that it really shifts our mindset and ways of being and relating with each other. There's more honor, there's respect, there's reverence for life and all our relations, which is again harmony. And that's my world vision, is that we co-create global harmony. It's ambitious, it's inspiring, but I also believe it's possible.
I do believe we're doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. 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 And this is what I talk with many people and hear many people already talking about it in their own unique ways, that we are creating that harmonious world that we are all longing for, right?
yeah.
The unity and seeing the soul, right? That we are,
Mm-hmm.
which is like let everything else disappear when we're acknowledging our soul and the soul in others. Then we are looking at this whole thing from another perspective, and we start treating each other in a different way. And
Yeah,
also the word equal might be right, many people, I heard someone talking, he doesn't know if we're all equal because we are some tall, some are small, some are right. um so who knows. So another word to contemplate about, guys: balance, equality, and all of those things. Really,
mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah,
a matter of perspective. um
yeah.
I think we are all equal in terms of, we are all made of atoms.
Yeah.
Right?
We're all
Like,
human.
and then like what consolation is what else, like what is it then, right? Making, but yeah, it's just a fantastic topic. And also with those different genders, right, or whatever people want feel to identify as, like what I see is that we are just start to acknowledge our divinity and experiencing what we are actually capable of being, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that we are that we are, right? I am that I am. Like, I am the universe is me. I am God and God is me. God is I and God is you, right? God is within everything in this whole existence, is what I believe. I think everything is God. Like, I think God is in this pillow. I think God is in this crystal. Like, and it's all part of a, like, they're all, at the end of the day, atoms, right? We're all made of atoms and we have different shapes and we have different consciousness, right? We have a different consciousness. I think this might be an interesting point for people to contemplate about, which also needs to be felt, right? It's something that you experience, that we're
Yes.
all having a different understanding about the same thing. Like we really, really do. And there's no right, no wrong. There's no my truth is the only truth, and everything I say is right, and everyone who has a different opinion is wrong. This is all bullshit. This is just, again, the separation that in my world isn't existing. And I do respect also people who say I'm nuts. Like it just happens, right? If it's like whoever it is, like, and people looking at you that you're nuts when you start talking about the things that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And because it is something that we're remembering.
Yes.
And let's go into that part of it, like
Yeah, I just want to
the
acknowledge
remembering.
too,
Mm,
when you're talking about experiencing, I find that the experiences of deep connection and resonance, which again brings us back to harmony. And you're right, we are remembering. And in that sense, we become dispirited by a lot of influences that don't speak to the truth of who we know ourselves to be. And we become dismembered when we start leaving our soul parts and leak our energy out to various places that we work with. And sometimes we give away that energy, sometimes it's taken from us. Sometimes we give so much of ourselves and don't receive it back that we kind of lose ourselves in the process. And when we're saying that, we look deeper into that, it's actually that we're dissociating from some of our soul parts have left, have taken up shop somewhere else. And so we start seeing illnesses on the various
mm,
levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Things become out of order, and we call that a disorder or dis-ease because it's
mm.
not in the flow anymore. When we remember, we're gathering those soul parts back, we're retrieving them, we're going into our healing journey, which is really about coming into wholeness and letting go of anything that's not us, that's not of the light. We are of the light and in the light. And anything else that casts shadows or darkness doesn't belong there, right? It's not who we truly are. So remembering is the opposite of dismemberment, basically, right? We're regathering ourselves, resourcing ourselves so that we again have the capacity to be able to live life fully in all of its glory and all of its challenges and the pain and the pleasure and all of the things that we came here to experience, and trusting our ability to do that, to have these experiences and move through them and recognizing our power to navigate those changes and choose our direction and discern what's true for us and not, what has meaning and purpose and what doesn't, what feels fulfilling and satisfying and what takes away from our experiences and our life being able to grow, what stunts our growth. You can think of it as that. And so, yeah, it is a remembering. When I was doing more of the shamanic work one to one, that's often what people came to me for, is for a soul retrieval or a power animal retrieval or a soul remembrance. And it's such a beautiful, sacred practice to be able to come back into harmony with that and to come back into that healed state of being.
What does it take for you to find out the power animal as an example? Like, I'm super curious because I don't know what my power animal is. Like, what does it take for you as an example to find that out into someone?
Yeah, there's usually a few. And I'll just explain a little bit of difference from my understanding about what differences between a spirit animal, a totem animal, and a power animal, for example. So a power animal has the traits and character qualities, the qualities that you emanate already. So that reflection, right? So again, it's not really something separate, but we see it as separate until we merge back in and reclaim that power. So the qualities of that particular animal is your source of power. A spirit animal is just like the difference of spirit and soul and
Mm.
human. The spirit is that energy that moves you. So when you can free your spirit to direct the life you're meant to live, which is one of my life mottos, this is the animal that supports you in that, that helps you keep your spirit intact. And then your totem animal is like more of a helper. It's more of a helper. It's something you carry along, kind of like a security blanket sort of thing. It helps you to feel safe. It's
Your first
a
aid kit.
remembrance. What was that?
Your first aid kit.
First aid kit. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you can have all three as your first aid kit. And some people know right away who their power animal is, and quite often people have more than one, but there's usually one primary one that's like really your power animal. And, and some goes, I can repeat that, like with the power animal retrieval, for example. Quite often it's one that shows up for you a lot all through your life. So you would have come to have your first experience of
The
that as a
eagle.
young child. You may be seeing it everywhere. Eagle for you was wolf for me. I'd see wolves everywhere. I date someone that ended up
They
having like
we
wolf
don't
tattoos.
have them. We don't have them anymore. We had them, but they
For eagles or wolves?
wolves. And
Wolves, yeah.
yeah, sad.
Yeah.
Mm.
So statue and the blanket and just like really drawn to a certain animal, for example.
Mm.
And then you look at what medicine they bring, like the eagle is spirit. They see things from the higher perspective. They fly
Yeah.
closest to God, so there's different qualities that they
They
bring for
even
you.
visited me in dreams. They
Yeah,
knocked on my door with like like the whole company.
absolutely. Yeah, and a wolf is a pathfinder, a teacher, a leader of the pack, and sometimes there's the lone wolf. So you can read about the qualities, either as a power or spirit animal or totem animal or ally, or you read about, just what science says about them, and you learn about their qualities, their behaviors, and then you see what resonates with you. It's like, oh yeah, that's kind of like me, or I'm like kind of like them. So you kind of get that sense. So sometimes people just know because they're drawn to it and it shows up in their life quite a bit. When it comes later in life or during certain situations and periods in life, then it's usually a totem animal, like an ally that's shown up for you. So it's a helper for the time. So just like people come into your life for a purpose, a season, or a lifetime, so do
Mm.
your animals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do like the horse is
Mm,
that
power.
came up for me. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like how it showed up, like like the eagle just always like if I'm many times just look at the sky, like every time there is like I just see it. And then also
Mm-hmm.
several times it eagle appear in my dreams. With the horse, it just comes at certain times, right? So
Uh,
we talked about the gene keys earlier as well. And
mhm.
I received a mail with a life that happened, and they kind of got I don't want to say like a ruffle, but it was like they were just like randomly picking an animal that is for this period of time for the collective of
Mm-hmm.
the people who watched this video, right? And it was the horse. And the horse is another category, the leapers, making the next leap. And then the horse power and the consciousness of a horse, he said, horses don't have an ego.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, right? It's like it's in a whole nother level. And like what we humans use the horse for a very long time as well. They were carrying us everywhere. They were our helpers, our friends, right? And without horses, we couldn't move from A to B. We couldn't, they used them in war, like for everything, right?
Yes.
So it's a very strong connection that we humans have with that animal as well. So I just wanted to bring that in. And to, and now you see, I had that question and I received the information about those animals from simply listening to you and allowing the answer to come to me. And now I do relate with the answer that I found myself out without then, right? It's just so beautiful, the inner wisdom that we have in our space, that when we
Yes.
are receiving that information, and which
Mm-hmm.
comes back to the intuition. And this is what I want to make the bridge now. As you mentioned just before you started talking about that now with um those animals, that discovering or like using that intuition that we have, and that we are, that the feminine side as an example, or that we're dimming, or
Mm.
that we dimmed that intuition for a certain period of time, and that we are now, I feel, going back there. I feel that very strongly, is
Okay.
what my intuition tells me. And I believe my intuition, the intuitive voice that is within me, is for me is God. This for
Mm-hmm.
me is the voice of God when I'm listening to my intuition. It's guiding me. It does those things. It's really helping me out of so many things. And how do we access, right? Maybe you can give your perspective on that. How do we
Yeah.
access um that intuition, right? You said earlier also that there are practices to bring the masculine and the feminine into balance, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then, or like into alignment, to use
Mm-hmm.
another, the other terminology, into alignment. And in that alignment, I do believe that we do receive that intuitive information that helps us move forward, right? To know the answers and to stop questioning life too much and start receiving answers about the quest, life itself.
Yeah. I think you just answered it right there, and I'll come back to that in a moment. That introduces and moving into intuition, because horses are also highly sensitive and very empathic and very intuitive, and so as we move into the Aquarian age, we're becoming more finely tuned in our intuition, becoming more, very much more telepathic. Even people who never considered themselves as being very intuitive are recognizing that there's these openings that are happening. And not just that, but so you had the empathy and telepathy, but people have been starting to join them together. And telepathy is full body experience. So the head, the feeling, all of the senses coming together. So you're not just clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairaudient, or any of the other clairs, right? Which is just clear seeing, knowing, hearing, speaking, and feeling. Clairsentient, right? And empaths are claircognizant, clairsentient very strongly. The feeling and the knowing is just there, and you don't know how you know or why you know, you just know. And so when you're talking about intuition, it's not necessarily a rebalancing or a union of the divine and feminine. It's what you just said, Yana, about the receptivity, being open and receptive. And that's like the difference between prayer and meditation. Prayer, we're talking, we're making requests, we're asking for something, we're directing our thoughts and energy towards something that we desire, either
Mm-hmm.
for ourselves or for someone else, right? In meditation, we're completely open to the experience, to awareness, to allowing inspiration, intuition, cognition, ideas, answers, solutions to come to us, to come to us. So the more that we can let go of trying to do or manipulate or
Mm.
try to make something happen, the more likely we can, like just in normal life, in real life, people who are trying to figure something out and they're at it for like hours and they just can't get the answer, get something to work, right? When does the answer come? In the middle of the night when we're asleep, in the shower, on the toilet, mowing the lawn, like when we're not engaged completely and connected and tied into our tunnel vision of that situation, then we're just open and we're allowing, like things are happening in the background, they're happening all of the time. It's just a matter of receiving that and tuning into that. being able to do that. Our hair are antennas for all that information. The hair is all over our body, bringing in that information. There are also antennae that are receiving that information. So whether we're conscious of it or not, we're always receiving information and being influenced by the cosmos and the energy around us and inside us. So it's setting an intention really of wanting to connect, wanting to be in touch, being ready for it. So readying ourselves for it in any kind of meditation, shamanic practice, energy work, there's a whole preparation that occurs. It's not the practice itself, it's mostly the preparation so that we can be open to receive. You know, some people, mediums and such, won't consume anything because they want to be a clear, open, pure channel and vessel for the information that's coming that they're going to share with another. And then recognizing how much energy that takes too, because then when you're a conduit for spirit, there's a recovery period that happens. It's what my teacher calls magic shock. You know, there's you're tired after. And it's not because we've used our energy, but it's because the energy is more random than what we use on a day-to-day basis. You know, and so there's some recovery around that too. So it's really about creating the right conditions, I guess you can say, and having the intention to tune in and to be aware and connecting with the people that want that too, or that are experiencing that already. Because when we come together, the energy is really amplified and it makes it easier to receive and to tune in. Like some people can only meditate in a group, they find it difficult on their own. Doesn't mean they can't meditate. It's just sometimes being in the energy of others creates a synergy or an amplified energy that supports that kind of meditation. That's why global meditations are so powerful, or why people do ceremonies and chanting and practices together, you know, because that's what we were saying earlier about the collective and gathering and joining together to support this new energy, this new way of communicating through telepathy, empathy, telepathy, and intuition, and being guided in that, taking inspired action through that.
Wow. Telepathy. You like this word now? Like, is it from you? Like, where does it come from?
No, it wasn't
No.
from me, but as soon as I heard it, I'm like, yes.
Yes. It's like
Yeah.
telepathy, telepathy. Like, yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes, and yes. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
The shared experience, right? Like what we said from
Mm-hmm.
the very beginning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then with that, we all have that. Some more, some less, but we all have access to that. And this is what I want people to know. That this is not because Jennifer and Yana are having that. Like everyone has the availability to receive that. And it's
Hmm.
nothing that you normally make a logical understanding of, though it does make sense the moment you experience it. As
Yes.
so many things, right? Like just randomly bringing that in now. I mean, like people don't logically think about the orgasm. It just is great. Like we just
Mm.
love to be in an orgasmic state, right? It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
what we're because this is pure connectedness. This is pure bl like ecstasy, bliss, all of the like I don't know, put stack one of another and you will never finish. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's easy. So there's some things we just need to experience, and no matter what people tell you, like you maybe won't, what means won't believe, or you might be skeptic
Mm.
about it, right? You look with a skeptic eye on it, though at the end of the day, it's about the experience, and yeah, it's just telepathy, something to experience. Yeah, creating that space for you, I think, right? To come to an end, like creating that space for you as a being, for me, for you, for everyone who is listening, for everyone actually on the planet who desires to tap into their power, right? reaching all into their higher states of consciousness, reaching those, right? Like there is telepathy if you reach those higher states of consciousness, they're all interconnected. And once you start going into inner space and you learn to do the things that actually resonate with you, right? And it takes courage to do things differently than maybe your friends, maybe your family. Believe me, I'm sitting right in it. It does take from you, like it takes courage to do things differently and to
Yeah.
know that other people's opinion is other people's opinion, and to
Mm.
learn to love yourself no matter what. So to the end now, where we're bringing this to an end, do you want to give something with to the audience that you feel you wish to talk about or to let them know?
Mm. Well, just to help people to relate even more, you can think to shared experiences, right? Like people who work together or take a retreat together or volunteer together, the experience, there's deepening connection, fulfillment that comes from that as a shared experience because of the telepathic energy that's present there. Also,
Hmm.
shared life experiences, shared death experiences. People have been sharing more about shared death experiences,
Yeah,
knowing when a person's passing and feeling that as they're doing that shared experience, the shared journey. So there's probably many ways you can relate to these shared experiences and the telepathy and intuition and power animals. So I'd love to see, comments about this and what's resonating for people that
yeah,
are with it and how it lines for them. And I think it's really important to care for our souls, to find solace in everyday life, because we talked about what happens when you don't, and to really support people keeping their spirit intact. I can offer a link for a guide to soul care, finding solace in everyday life. So I'd love to be able to offer that to the audience. And also, if anyone wants to connect to do a 30-minute inner light activation, which is really fun and exciting. And I can share what that's all about or you can look it up on my website at lightingthepath.ca. There's more about that and other wonderful things that I do and blogs that you can read for inspired living on there too. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you, thank you. And yeah, we will also place the link um from the book that we talked about last time,
Yeah, embrace
right?
your power.
I
Yes,
asked you
you're
like
awesome.
what advice would you give to people, and she said buy my book. It was so good. It was so good. Like I mean you topped it. You topped it this time, but we will also place that information below.
Sure.
And yeah, like I just encourage everyone who is yeah, who tuned in, who listens, to, yeah, let us know what you experienced, let us know what you felt, what you thought of, um, what new insights you got or not, right? All of it, like no drama. I'm immune against shame and blame. So,
Mhm.
it's something it's something that I work on daily. So yeah, thank you, Jennifer, for your time. And yeah, it's been an awesome conversation, and I'm looking forward to even more to come along the path. So thank you.
This
Awesome.
goes out to you, Yana, and everyone watching. I love you and I honor you. Thank you.
Yes, heartfelt. So give us a like, give us a comment, share in Instagram in your stories. Really let the people know if you got something out of this. Like if it helped you, it might be able to help someone else as well. So yeah, we definitely honor. We need to share the love. We need to come together. We need to learn that we actually, the more we work together, the more we accomplish in life, right? There's no lack of anything on this planet. We're abundant. We're having all we need, right? And we attract exactly what we need in every single moment of our lives. So thanks for watching. I'm sending you all the love that is available, and open yourself to what's possible, right? It's really a beautiful journey. See you soon.